Now we are going to discuss about the chapter 6. In this we will cover about loading of data into HTTP customer table. That will use expression filter transformations. Also we'll discuss about router transformation. Before we move further, we'll review the chapter 5, where we discussed about file transfer protocol. That is, whenever your source is a flat file, when you want to extract the data from a flat file, the file should be on your informatica server. For a definition, it should be on your local machine. So in projects, the application which generates the data with the file, that the team will send the file onto your informatica server through file transfer protocol, or informatica has a provision to get the data from that application service or the systems from where you need that file. We do that FTP connection. That FTP connection, like relational connection, will create it, for which we need username, password, IP address or the host name, and the path from where you need to get the data, the file, onto your informatica server. That is FTP. Then we discussed about the command task. Command task is used to when you want to write commands in Windows environment or shell script commands. If you want to execute those commands or file which contains the commands, we will use the task called command task. In our example, when we extract the data from the file is hard coded. So in projects, what they do is they move the file to a backup directory after the session loading is completed, because next day when they want to extract it from that path, it will be having the same name of the file. So to move that file with the data to the backup directory, we will use a command like task commands or shell commands. These commands can be executed from informatica through a command task. And where will we assign this command task in the session? Under the configuration, under the components tab, pre-session command means before you execute the session, you want to execute any of the command tasks, you can assign there. Or post-session success, on session loading successfully, you want after the session loading success, you want to execute a command, or through the command task you assign there. Or post-session failure, if the session is failed, you want to execute some commands. So these are the three options where you assign that command task. In our case, we would have assigned it at post-session success. So this is a brief about command task. Then we discussed about loading the data into HTTP product table. Data is coming from two sources. One is a table and another is a file. To join the data when two sources like table or a flat file, or two flat files or two tables from different database servers or different databases like Sybase or Oracle, when you have two sources like that, you use the joiner transformation. In this joiner transformation, we will specify the join condition, and also it will support four types of joins: normal join, detail outer join, master outer join, full outer join. Normal join is nothing but the equal join. It will support only equal to function in joiner transformation. Here, as you need to join the data, Informatica provides you a cache for joiner transformation, memory space at runtime allocated, so that one source of data you will put it in this cache, and another source of data, record by record, it will scan this cache based on your join condition and the join type. Whichever satisfies that condition, those records are taken out. So which data should you put it in the cache, which has the less number of records? That is indicated by a port called M port in a joiner transformation. Under the ports, you enable that M port. That is called the master port, which has less number of records compared to other source. So this master data will be put into the aggregate into the joiner transformation cache, and also index is created on the join condition column at runtime by Informatica. Then the detail other source, which is detail, will come record by record, scans the cache, and whichever satisfies the condition will be taken to the next transformation on the target. If the condition is not satisfied, it will drop the records. Then we discussed about loading the data into STG transaction table, where you have two sources which are relational table on the same database. So to join two tables on the same database, two or more tables on the same database, if you want to join, then you join in the source qualifier transformation itself. So this is how we joined them, two sources, the join condition, user defined join was specified in the source qualifier transformation. So at runtime, the whole select statement will fire onto the database with the join condition, extract the complete data, and row by row data is processed. This is how happens when you want to join two tables in a source file. Two or more tables you can join in a source qualifier transformation, but whereas in a joiner transformation, a single joiner transformation can have two sources only, two input sources only. Now we are going to discuss about the loading of STG customers table, about expression transformation, filter transformation, and the router transformation. The requirement of the business case 6 is to extract the data from source underscore customer table and load the data into STG customers table. But the condition is filter the customers whose number is 99999. So while loading the data into STG customers table, as per the requirement, the customers whose number is 9999 should be filtered out while loading the data into the target table. And also the requirement of this filter is filter also the customers whose customer number is null, also to be filtered out. So you have the requirement for filtering customers with null value and customers with 99999. So whenever you do any mapping, first the step from the whole mapping perspective, you have to go and see the data, study the data in the source table in the database. Then also see the target table, means connect to the database, see the data in the source. This is how a ETL developer works on Informatica. First to study the source data and the target table, then come to the ETL specification document. So let us go and see the data in the source. So let us connect to this to the source SRC database. Let's say select star from source underscore customers table. And as per the ETL specification document, you need to filter the data of customer number 999 and also whose customer number is null. So let us go select star from source underscore customers, where customer number is 999. So there are about 7 records with customer number 9. This has to be filtered out, means this data should not be loaded into the target table. And also select star from source underscore customers, where customer number is null. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 11 records whose customer number is null and whose customer number is 9999 are 7 records. So this 11 plus 7, 18 records has to be filtered out before loading into the target table. That is one requirement. Then another requirement is, while loading the data into STG customer table, concatenate the first name and the last name. Concatenate the first name and the last name. Then also there is a requirement that phone number coming in this format, it will need to be reformatted in this. So let us see the data in the source. So we need to concatenate first name and the last name, then reformat the phone number to this format. And also another requirement is in the gender column contains F for M, it has to be replaced with female, S for female, M for male, and UNK. If the data in the gender column does not have F or M, then it should be stored in the target table under the cust_gender column as unknown UNK. Then another requirement, the age group. The customer has an age, and when you load the data into STG customer table, the group should be, if the customer age is between 30 and 39, it should be set in the group as 30_39 or 40_49. Based on the age, we have to load the data into the customer age group. So when we study the retail specification document, one is to filter the data, the other is to change the data the way you load into STG customers table. So what we will do, let us discuss like a ETL developer how you do it. So you study the source data, as per the requirements. We'll see from the ETL specification document what are the requirements needed, then build the mapping. Before you will build it, we should understand what transformations we need to complete this mapping. So what transformations we need to study it. First we need to define the source, then define the target. Because the source is a relational table, so we will use source qualifier transformation. Then concatenate the first name, last name, converting that format or replacing the values. For this type of manipulation of data, or transformation of data, we use a transformation called expression. Then to filter the data, we will use filter transformation. Regarding filter transformation, I will give you the explanation. So now we understood the data, we have strategized what transformations to be used. Now let us go and build the mapping, then I will explain you each and every component of it. First step, define the source, import from the database, go to SRC, source_customer table, then go to the warehouse designer, import from the database, some STG ODBC connection. Using that, we import the table structure of STG_customer table. Mapping, create M_6_ STG_customers. Then drag your source, that is source_customer, drag your target, that is STG_customer. because the source is a relational table, so we use the source qualified transformation. Then the purpose of expression transformation is to perform non-aggregate functions, simple calculations, data manipulation. That is, we are to concatenate first name, last name. All these things are simple calculations or simple data manipulations on a port level. Means on a field level, we are concatenating first name, last name, finding the reformatting the phone number, replacing the values for the gender, and finding the age group. So this type of data manipulation on a port level, when you do the handling, that is the field level or column level, you use expression transformation. So transformation, create expression, syntax for EXP. We are doing multiple things, so I give stj underscore customers. Now please observe the specification document. Dealership ID, customer name. For the customer ID, customer number. For loading the data into customer name, you have to concatenate the first name and the last name. So drag dealership ID, your customer name, first name, last name. Now I want to get the output to the target table, that is the customer name, first name and last name concatenated. So how to do it? In the expression transformation, we want to do data manipulation like salary plus commission. Here we want to concatenate the first name and the last name. So I create a field, the port, which I name it as customer name string. Please remember the length. We are concatenating the first name and last name. You should put 28, but I could just like that 30. Be careful with the data types. Then to concatenate first name and last name, we need to make this as output port only. As we discussed before, Informatica gives you different functions. Data manipulation, to do the data manipulation, so we have a function called concatenate. If you observe down here, it will give you the syntax. If you are not able to understand the syntax, go to the help. It will give you a clear example. Please read help. It will give you a clear examples of how it works. So concatenate, the syntax is first name comma last name. So it will concatenate the first name and the last name. Validate. Please write it down, the syntax, when you are doing it, so that when you do the lab, it will be easy for you. It is concatenate first name and the last name. And I say OK. Then what I need: address, city, state, zip code, country, and the phone number from my source as per my ETL specification document. Phone number is coming, but I have to reformat it. This is the format you get it. Like in any SQL, what we do for this, to reformat, we use concatenate function and the substring of it. This is the format which I am talking about. Please observe this. This is as per my format. First, I want to open with a bracket, then first 3 digits and close the bracket. So bracket In column, in single quotes, concatenate substring first and 3, then again concatenate, then close the bracket, then fourth to start at fourth digit, then next 3 numbers, concatenate with hyphen, then substring from the 7th digit or 7th character till the last. So this is the syntax. In the ETL specification document, we have specified it what it exactly needs. So you need to write it down this, and be careful when you create your bracket open with single quotes. There should not be any space here. If you have a space, then it will put a space. Anything between a single quotes, it will create a space. So I will do it for you. Please observe it. How to create it. Create a port, phone number, out. It is a string, more than 10 characters it is, so output port only. Then single quote bracket open, very careful here, it will keep the spaces in between, or you can put it like single quote bracket open, single quote, then the function of substring, function, character functions, substring, port, phone number, comma, 1, 3, then concatenate. Here also we need to concatenate. Use the pipe symbol, or you can write the concatenate, type it, but I prefer pipe symbols here. Then single quotes, bracket close. Then again concatenate. First substring, phone number. Now we need to phone number 423. Then concatenate, hyphen, then substring, phone number, comma 7. So this is what is the syntax to get reformat the next. Below it will give you a warning that is actually this is a decimal and you are converting to a string, but automatically Informatica will convert it, but it gives a warning. And as per ETL specification, you need to find the gender. So I'll drag my gender here, then output port, gender out. If then else if you want to use multiple if statements, then we use decode function. Please read the decode function in your help. So this is the decode function, gender female. If it is F, female, M is male. If it is neither of this, then unknown. So please write this syntax for you, or read the help for decode function, how it is written. Then another requirement, income as it is, email as it is, age as it is, income, email, age. Now I want to find the age group, output port only. This is also a decode function. You can write in different ways. That is, if the age is less than 20, below 20, age is less than 30, 20 to 29, the age is equal to 30, then it is 30 underscore 39 less than 40. So you have to write like this, the decode function. Please read the help and you validate this. And don't forget, you have to take the version also from the ETL specification document. Let me check. Yes, it specified it, so this is the version has to be taken. So this is how you create your expression transformation. Now, as per our requirement, we need to filter the data. Based on what we need to filter the data, that is your customer number, which is coming from your source, which is, we have to filter if it is 999 or is it a null value. We should not load the data into the target table. That is called filtering the data, or you are restricting the data. To do that, Informatica provides you with a transformation called filter transformation. The purpose of filter transformation is to filter the data. When your source is a flat file or a table, you can filter the data. So, or you use filter transformation if you want to load data into multiple targets. A single source data, if you want to load the data into multiple targets, then you use filter transformation. So it will limit the data rows sent to the target or other transformations. For that purpose, you use the filter transformation and you will specify the filter condition. In our case, we need to load the data into the target table where the customer number is not equal to 999 and customer number is not null. So what we do, we will use the filter transformation. Transformation create filter. Syntax for filter is FIL, and we are filtering on customer number. So please observe here very carefully which data we require, that we will take it. To the target table, we need the dealership ID, customer name. You need the customer number and customer name. You don't need the first name and the last name. So address, city, state, zip, country, then phone number, gender out, income, email, age group and version. We need all this. So we have kept it here. Now we'll connect to the target. How to write in the filter, I will just show you in a few minutes. Let me connect it. You can connect all. Now how to write in this. In filter transformation is used only to filter the data. You cannot manipulate the data at the port level, so these are all disabled. Data comes in and goes out in these fields for each row. Input output port only. Then in the properties, we will specify the condition. Like a where condition in SQL, where customer number is not equal to 999, it will retrieve all the records from the source, from the table on which you want it. So here you will specify the condition. What is our condition? Customer number not equal to, then put the symbol like this, 9999. So whichever customer is not equal to 999, that will be passed out. Whichever is 99999, that will be filtered out. So not equal to 99. Other than this condition, those records will be filtered out. So as per our requirement, we want customer number is 999 and also is null. So when a null compares with this condition, condition failed, so that records will be rejected, will not be taken out. So you say OK and save your work. So this is the purpose of the filter transformation, which will be used to filter the data, restrict the data based on the condition. Whichever record satisfies this condition, that record goes out. If the record does not satisfy this condition, that will be dropped. That will not go to the next transformation or the target table. So this is the functionality of filter. When will we use? When your source is a flat file or a relational table, or when you want to load data into multiple targets. Regarding multiple targets, we will discuss after this example. So filter restricts the data, like your where clause in your SQL statement. Now I say save. So please go ahead and write this in your retail specification document, so that when you do the mapping, you will be able to see that sheet of papers and do this. So source underscore customer, ODBC connection, SRC underscore informatica read only, and ODBC connection, HTG, username HTG underscore ID, your ID, student ID, password. So please write it down this. It is repetition of the previous one. So I hope you will be able to write it fast. Then we need to execute this. So to execute this, we need to go to the workflow manager, go to the task developer, create the session. So we create the session s underscore m underscore 6 underscore htg underscore customers. So say OK. Now you create the mapping connections source, that is your SRC and ID, image is trainer SRC, target for USTG underscore your ID, trainer, normal, say OK. Then workflow designer, close this, drag this. WF s underscore m underscore 6 underscore htg underscore customers. Save. How do you do it? Workflow close, then drag the session, automatically it will link that. Then right click and say start the workflow. For that, please go ahead and open your sheet of 9.9. Open the sheet of 9.9 of your document, and please write down the session name, source connection, target connection. Then I will execute this. Let's click and say start workflow. Before that, let's go to the target table. I've already connected to the target, so select star from HTG underscore customers. There is no records in this. So customer name, number, customer age group, customer gender, which loaded into this. So right click and say start workflow. Let us see in the workflow monitor. get the session log file. Let us see the data. How many records are there in the source? 6,184. How many records it has loaded for the document 6168? .com 166. Whereas in the source, the data is 184. So 184 minus 166. 115 records are missing. What are these records? These are customer number equal to 999 and customer number null. How did we know? Check the data here. There are 7 records. Check the data here. 1, 2. So 18 records are not loaded into it because we filtered the data in the target. So this is how through our mapping filter the data. Once again I reiterate it. You have expression transformation is the data manipulation on port level handling, which we call it as concatenate first name, last name, reformat the phone number. Fine. This decode function is nothing but if then else if, our programming language. Multiple if statements, if you have used the decode function for better performance. Then we also decoded it conditional. Then we have filtered the data. Codes, properties, customer number is not equal to 999, filter condition. Actually, you don't need to use here. You can directly write in the source qualifier this source condition itself. Would have written here in the source qualifier itself. While extracting the data itself, they have filtered the data. But I want to introduce the filter transformation here, make you understand how filter works. Because in the future mappings we need those filter transformation, router transformation. So to introduce that, I have created here, but whenever your source is a flat table, you can filter the data at the source qualifier level itself. Like this, generate SQL, say where customer number not equal to 999. This also will get you the same data. Let's do it on the source. Your source. See the record count. The number of records we have loaded into the target table. You can get this. But I want to introduce you the filter transformation. So that's why if you look at the definition of a filter transformation, it filters rows from flat file source or a single pass source into multiple targets that we are going to discuss now. So a single row filter, if it is a source is a flat file, you cannot filter, you cannot write a where clause, then you have to use the transformation. If it is a relational table, you can filter it at the source qualifier level itself. Now I'm going to introduce you to the concept of loading data into multiple targets. An example, understanding. We're not going to tab on this because to filter, load data into multiple targets in examples. But I want you to understand this filter transformation, how we load the data into multiple targets. Now look at this example, a small example. I have employee data here using my source table. I want to load the data into 3 target tables. I want to load the data into 3 target tables. So you would have written a traditional programming. What would you have done? That data is coming from a source table. Let us assume it is employee table. You need to load data into 3 target tables. What are the conditions? For a target table 1, I need to load where salary is greater than 0 and the salary is less than 1000. Whichever the employees have this, need to load that data. Then target table 2, I want to load where salary is greater than or equal to 1000 and the salary than 1000. And another target table, another condition. I will see what condition, right? Where employee ID is greater than 101 and salary is equal to 1500. So I want to load data into 3 target tables. What would you have done in a or in a programming language? Done. You have said select the data to different variables, your cursor and all that stuff, but here the main criteria is the condition. Say if salary is greater than 0 and the salary less than 1000, what would have done? Insert into target table 1, else if, syntax may be wrong, don't worry about it, just I want to explain you the logic. 1000 and salary less than 1000, what would have done? Insert into target table else where employee ID is greater than 101 and sal is equal to 2500. Just set insert into target. What are we doing? Selecting the data from the employee table and loading data into multiple targets, target 1, target 2, target based on the condition. You want to do it same way in informatica, the transformation to filter the data into multiple targets based on different conditions. So let us do it here. Presentation only, no lab for this. So what I do, source, qualifier, best practice, expression transformation. Now I want to load data into 3 target tables. So I want to stream the data into multiple targets. Stream the data into multiple targets. So I use one filter transformation. The condition where salary is greater than when salary is 1000. So that data will go out. That record which satisfies that condition will go out to the target table. Another condition, another filter condition, another filter transformation, another filter condition, the transformation, then link to the 3 target tables. Observe very carefully here how this works. Filtering, streaming data into multiple targets. You cannot write in a source qualifier. You can write in a source qualifier condition. You cannot split the data into multiple things. It's called single source of data, single stream of data. You are splitting the data into multiple means load data into multiple targets. So use filter. Basically, filter means if the record comes in here, the record does not satisfy that condition, that record is filtered. Satisfies the record goes out. Here we are splitting the data into multiple streams based on the multiple conditions. So if you create a mapping like this with pre-filter transformation, what happens? As I said, Informatica, when you execute it, Informatica server will extract the complete data from this, puts it in Informatica server, then it will release one record at a time. First record comes in, goes to the expression transformation, and the single record will go to all the filter transformation. How many filter transformations you have, that many, it will go into all those transformations. Understand it, it will go into all the filter transformations. So filter 1, filter 2, filter 3, it goes there. Single record will go all to the filter transformation, checks the record. Whichever satisfies that condition, then that record goes out. Call it as test the condition. Informatica language which will test the condition, the filter transformation. All the filter transformation will test for that record. It satisfies, whichever satisfies this condition, then that record is moved out. And it loads the data. So first record where salary is less than 1,000, so that's satisfied, so it goes to the target table, so it inserts the data in the first target table. Then the second record comes in, 103 bill 1250. Then output of expression goes to all the three filter transformations, that is called reading the input data. First transformation will read the input data, and the test will be done for all the filter transformations have in your mapping. Single record will be tested for all the filter transformations. So this record will satisfy the filter 2 condition. So it will go out and loads the data into the target table. Then the third record comes in, 102 Ajay 2500, goes to the target table. Salary is 2500 and employee ID is 102. First condition does not satisfy, it will drop it. Second condition does not satisfy, it will drop it. Third condition, where employee ID is equal to 101 satisfies the condition, so it will go to the third target table. Then the fourth record comes in, goes to that filter transformation. 104, salary 1750 does not satisfy. Second record satisfies the condition. Third record does not satisfy the condition. Third filter, so it will go out and loads the data into the third target table. So filter transformation, you want to split and stream the data into it. Go and load the data into multiple targets. In scenario, filter transformation, it will read the input data, a single row when it comes, how many filter transformations you have. I'll go back a step. You see here, data is coming in, goes into how many filter transformations you have, that many it will go in, means it is reading the input data. Test done for all the filter conditions and all the filter transformations for each and every record. Whichever satisfies the record, it will go out. If it does not satisfy the condition, then it will drop the record. So it will read the input data, test for all the conditions, and streams out the data. The difference between a traditional programming is, if the record satisfies the first condition, it will not check for the second and third conditions. The record satisfies the second condition, does not satisfy the first condition, then it will go to the second condition. If it satisfies the second condition, then it will not go to the third condition. The record comes in, satisfies the first condition, does not satisfy the first condition, and does not satisfy the second condition, then it looks at the third condition. But whereas in a filter transformation, it will test for all the conditions. Test for all the conditions, and it will read each and every record into all the filter transformations. So that is the difference between the if then else if loop in a traditional programming conditional, inserting into multiple targets, then else if target. So it will test for first condition. If it satisfies, it will not look through the next condition. Whereas in this, it will look through the next condition. So this is how filter transformation is used when you have single stream of data, you want to load data into multiple targets. And the condition is it will read the input data for all, each and every record for all the filters, and it will load the data based on the condition it satisfies. Informatica provides you with another transformation called router transformation. The purpose of router transformation is to do the same thing as filter transformation. It will also filter the data, it will also route the data, it will also load data into multiple targets. This router transformation came from Informatica version 5 and above. We will discuss how router works in the same conditional. Then I will discuss the difference between a filter and a router. Now the router transformation works to load the data into multiple targets. For that, let us discuss how router transformation is defined. Basically, router transformation contains called input and output. Input group is the data coming into that transformation, like your employee number, employee name, salary, single record data coming in called as a input group. If you want to load data into multiple targets, then it is output, it is going out, multiple or single target table you want to load it. Output, it is going out data, and it is called output group. Again, this output group is divided into two. One is called user-defined group and also default group. We'll discuss the importance of the default group. So, data which is coming in the input group, data going out, you define the group condition. This is called the group condition, user-defined groups. That is, for each filter condition, here it is called as a group. The previous example, when we have seen one filter condition, here that one condition is called as a group condition, user-defined group. And as soon as you create one user-defined group, automatically Informatica router transformation will create a default group. The importance of it we will discuss. And each and every record is evaluated for all the group conditions, all the user-defined groups and user-defined group conditions. Each and every record will be evaluated. Like filter, how many filter transformation you have, each and every record will go to all the filter transformations. Here also we tested for all the group conditions how this works. Let's say the same example. Here, in a router transformation, input group. What are the columns you want to take into that input to that router? That is called the input group, employee ID, employee name, salary. Then I want to load data into three target tables on three different conditions called user-defined group condition. So you specify the group condition. One, the salary is greater than 0 and salary is less than 1,000. One group condition, that is called user-defined group condition. As soon as you create a user-defined group condition, automatically a default group is created. Then another group condition, another filter condition you can call it as, if salary is greater than or equal to 1,000 and less than 2,000. Another filter condition or group condition, their employee is 101 and salary is 1,500. So this is called the input to that router transformation. That's why it is called input group. Whichever group condition is specified, those are called user-defined group conditions. They are output groups where the data will streamed out. And as soon as you create one user-defined group, the default group will be created. So these are the three target tables. Now when you execute this, first record comes in, goes into the router transformation. Input goes into the user-defined group condition, into the input group. Then it will test for all the conditions, all the group conditions, or you call it as filter conditions for each and every record. And whichever condition satisfies, then it will route the data into that, the next transformation or to the target table. As per this example, salary is 700, that is between 0 and 1,000. So it satisfies this condition, then loads the data into the target table. Then the second record comes in, 103 bill 1250, goes to the router transformation. Again, it will check for all the conditions. It satisfies the second group condition, so data goes out. And as per here, we'll insert into the target 2. Then 102 RJ comes in, put group, user defined input group condition group, then user defined group, satisfies the group 3 condition. See, it will test the data for all the group conditions, but it will read the input data only once. Reading means data is coming only once, but for all the group conditions, it is testing. Whereas in a filter transformation, how many filter conditions, filter transformation now, all those transformations read the input data. So if you have 3, then 3 filter transformation will read the input data and test for all the conditions. Fine. It will read the input data. How many filter transformations you have? Router will read only once for each and every record. So group 3 condition satisfied, so it will go and load the data into the target 3 table. Then 104 comes in, goes to the input group, test for this condition. This is satisfied by the group 2 condition, so the record goes out. Now fourth record comes in, goes to all the conditions. This record does not satisfy any of the group conditions. Here the salary is 3000, does not satisfy group 1, does not satisfy group 2, and does not satisfy group 3. For example, if a record does not satisfy any of the user defined group conditions, fine, then automatically it will go to the default group. Go to the default group. So the record does not satisfy any of the user defined output, then it will go to the default group. You can take it out, or you can, if you don't want to take it out, it will drop the records from the default group. So that is the advantage of a default group in router transformation. So the router has user input group in output group. In output group, you will again divide it into user defined group and a default group. Output group is one, it will read the input data, then it will test for all the group conditions, user defined group conditions. The record does not satisfy any of the group conditions, then it will go to the default group. So the advantage of a router over a filter, first, router and filter are both same, that is they test the data based on the condition. If it satisfy the condition, go out. If it does not satisfy the condition, drop. The filter will test data for one condition and drops the rows of the data that do not meet the condition. The router transformation tests the data for one or more conditions, and it gives you the opportunity to go to the default group. Any record that does not satisfy any of the conditions, right, then it will go to the default group. The most important advantage of a router is the input data, incoming data is read only once when you execute router. Whereas filter transformation will read the input data as many filter transformations have. Let's say you have 1 lakh records coming. If you have 3 filter transformations, then it will read 3 lakh times. In each record, 3 filter transformations. So input data is read 3 times more. If you have 3 filter transformations. If you have 4 times read the input data, that will decrease the performance. Whereas the router will read the input data per record once only, incoming data, but test for all the conditions like your filter. And router, if the record does not satisfy any of the conditions, then it will route to the default group. So this is the difference between the filter and a router transformation. We will use it in the future mappings about the routers and filters. So please do that STG_customers mapping, use it, test your data. Now this is the end of chapter 6 of Informatica.